say in American because she lived in America, agoraphobia, which is a fear of open spaces and going out. So she did some work from home, but lived with her boyfriend. However, Kathy's condition eventually started getting to her boyfriend, and it started causing some major problems between them and their relationship, and her boyfriend eventually left. So now Kathy was struggling a bit with the rent and also bills and everything. She was sort of finding it hard to make ends meet. So she decided to put an ad in the newspaper to see if anybody would like to share the apartment with her. So she put the ad in on the Monday, and on the Wednesday she had two people that wanted to come and take a look at the apartment. So she made an appointment for both. One came at 11 o'clock and she was bang on time. She knocked on the door and Kathy let her in, and her name was Kate, which was a funny coincidence. They got on really well. Kate seemed very nice. Kate worked at an office downtown and just wanted to be closer to work. She was living with her parents still at the time, which was quite a few miles away, so this would have been ideal for her. She seemed really nice. So she said, I'll call you back and let you know. So Kate said, okay, great, thank you. Then at 11:30, the second woman knocked, and her name was Catherine. Catherine had lots of makeup on. She was almost goth-like, but again was a very, very, very nice person. And again, Kathy got on really well with her. So Kathy then said, I'll let you know. So, Catherine said, okay. Catherine, by the way, had just left an abusive relationship and had moved from miles away, well, not in New York, but yeah, just to get away from her crazy lunatic boyfriend. So she understood. Anyway, Kathy was sitting there thinking about it, and she thought, well, both of these women were very, very nice, so I don't really know what to do. So Kathy then come up with an idea. So she made the phone call and called Kate, and she said, look, Kate, I was just wondering, I'd love for you to come and live here, but I've also, seen this other woman who's really, really nice as well, and I want to ask her if she would as well. Would you have any problem with it? She said, I've got 2 rooms, so it wouldn't be a problem. So Kate said no. She said that would be absolutely fine. She said, perhaps I can meet her. So she arranged for those to both meet each other on the Thursday. So Thursday they both came round, Kate and Catherine, and they both got on really well. So Kathy said, great, when can you move in? So they said, we can move in on Monday, So she said, oh, that's brilliant. So come Monday, Kate arrived first and come with some bags and suitcase. She didn't have much, and she went to the room, and her room started putting everything away. And then a little while after, Catherine showed up, and she just had one small suitcase, and she'd said to Kathy, I just got out as quickly as I could, so I don't have much. So that first night, Kate said, I'll treat us all to some Chinese. Do you all like Chinese? And Kathy loved Chinese. And Catherine said, I absolutely love Chinese as well. So Kate ordered some Chinese food, and they all had a nice sort of Chinese meal and watched some TV. There was some old black and white film on the television that they all sat and watched. They'd also got a bottle of wine, and all had some wine, and they was all drinking and eating and having a laugh and talking about all these things, that had been happening to them. And they all had a great night. In the end, it was about 10 o'clock, and Kate said, look, I've got to go to bed now, I've got to get up for work in the morning. So she went to bed, and then Kathy sat there with Catherine for a little bit longer. And Catherine said, it's my birthday tomorrow, and I'm going to go out and celebrate. She said, would you like to come? Kathy said, I really can't. She said, I'm so sorry. She went, I'm agoraphobic or acrophobic. She said, and I just can't go out. So Catherine said, oh, well, that's a shame. She went, I'm really sorry to hear that. She said, have you sort of seen anyone about it? And Kathy said, yeah, I've seen many doctors. She said, but nothing has really helped me. So she said, oh, that's really, really sad. She said, she said, what if you was with me and Kate? I'm going to ask her too. So she said, no. She said, I'm sorry, I can't. She said, I just can't face going out. So she said, okay then, fair enough, and went to bed. The next day, in the morning, Kate was up first, brushing her teeth in the bathroom and taking a shower, closely followed by Catherine. And Catherine says to Kate, she goes, oh, good morning guys. She goes, hey Kate, she goes, it's my birthday today. So Kate says, oh wow, that's brilliant, why didn't you tell us? So I would have got you something. She went, oh no, that's alright. She said, look, I'll get you a present today. She went, don't worry about it. And so she said, no, that's fine. She said, I'm going out tonight. She said, can you come out with me? I'm going to go and have a drink, at the bar down the street, down 3rd Street. Kate then said, I can't tonight, I'm sorry. She said, I've got to work late tonight. She said, I'm working on something in the office and I've got to stay till late tonight. She said, so I can't. But she said, hey, we'll all go out for a drink on Saturday if you want. She said, I'll be free then. Catherine said, oh, right then, fair enough, great. Catherine then said to Kate, she went, it's a shame about Kathy. She went, did you know she has like agoraphobia? She said she can't go out. She said, that's really horrible, isn't it? And Kate said, oh, is that true? Kathy, you can't go out. And Kathy said, yeah. She said, I can't. She said, I'm sorry. They went, oh, that's a real shame. She went, anyway, they sat down and all ate breakfast. And then Kate left for work, and Catherine got up to look for work. She said, I've got to go and get a job. She said, I must get one. She said, so I'm going to go job hunting today. So Kathy said, okay. So Catherine went out, and Kathy, as always, was alone in the apartment by herself. She did do some work at home, so she was typing on the keyboard, doing her work. And then later on, about 6 o'clock, in walks Catherine. And Catherine walks in, and Kathy said, "Any luck with the job hunting?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I went to this clothes store," she said, "and they're looking for staff there." She said, "So I've got an interview on Thursday." Kathy said, "Oh, that's great." She went, "Oh, it's brilliant." She said, "Oh, I hope it all goes well." She said, "Oh, thanks, I'm really excited." She said, "Anyway, I'm going to go and get ready because I'm going out." So Kathy said, "Okay then." She goes in the bathroom and takes a shower and puts on loads of makeup, and she goes out in like a leather jacket and jeans and high heels and stuff. And she says to Kathy, "I'll be back probably late tonight." She said, "I'll try not to wake yous both up." So Kathy said, "That's alright, don't worry about it." So Catherine goes out. About 10 o'clock, Kate comes back from work, and Kathy's sitting there watching the TV, again an old black and white movie, and Kate says, "Is Catherine still out then?" And Kathy said, "Yeah, she's gone out. She went out about 7 o'clock. She said, and no, she's still not back yet, so she's probably at the bar." And Kate said, "Yeah, she's probably getting drunk." "Oh, well, that's good. I bought her this as well, by the way." She'd bought her a little gift. She said, "This can be from both of us." She said, "because I know you can't get out." So Kathy said, "Oh, thanks." She said, "I'll give you the money for it. Like, we'll go half each." So Kate said, "Okay then." She said, "Anyway, I've got to go to bed." She said, "I'm absolutely shattered." She said, "I'll see you in the morning." Kathy says, "Okay." Kate goes to bed. Kathy sits there watching a little bit more of the movie, then switches it off and goes to bed herself. She wakes up the next morning and turns on the news. And here is the news. Last night, 27-year-old Brett Jenkins was stabbed to death in a New York hotel. There are several eyewitnesses. She thinks all that's terrible. Someone leaving the room, and are now looking for. Then Kate comes out of her bedroom, says good morning to Kathy. Kathy says, "Oh, hi." She said, "Have you seen on the news?" She went, "Some guy's been stabbed to death." She said, "In a hotel in New York." Anyway, she said, "Well, that's really bad. That's only down the road from us, that hotel." Kathy said, "Yeah, kind of scary, huh?" Anyway, Kate goes and has a shower, gets ready, goes out, says goodbye to Kathy and leaves for work. Kathy's now sitting there wondering where Catherine is. So she goes and knocks on the door. At first there's no answer. So Kathy goes in, and there, laying on the bed, is Catherine, absolutely smothered in blood. All of a sudden, it starts making sense to Kathy what has actually happened. She goes up to Catherine and shakes her. Catherine then wakes up, blood on her face, blood on her clothes. She goes, "Catherine, what have you done?" She goes, "What's happened?" She says, "I've seen on the news that some guy's been stabbed to death." She said, "And you're here covered in blood." She said, "What's happened?" Catherine said, "Well, I went back to this hotel with this guy," she said, "and he tried it on with me. She said, so I went and got a knife and stabbed him to death. She said, 'cause I ain't having any man doing that to me. She then gets up and says to Kathy, look Kathy, you can't tell anyone about this. You've got to keep it a secret. You must not tell anyone. Kathy said, but we have to. We've got to tell the police. You know, you can't, just pretend this hasn't happened. She said, if you tell anyone, and she goes into her pocket and pulls out the knife smothered in blood. She said, I'll do the same damn thing to you. Kathy's now taken aback. She's gone, okay. She's gone, I won't say anything, I promise. She goes, now leave me alone. Slams the bedroom door shut. All of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. Kathy goes to the door, opens it, and there's 3 police officers. They say, oh, Kathy Smith. She goes, yeah. They go, we're here to arrest you for the murder of Brad Jenkins. She says, what do you mean? He says, last night you went out to a bar. He said, and picked up this guy, took him to an hotel and stabbed him to death, and you took his watch and his jewellery and his wallet. She said, no, it wasn't me. She said, it's my roommate, Catherine. She said, she's just in there. Come and see. The cop says, look, come with us. He goes, right now, you're under arrest. She goes, no, let me show you. I'll prove it. Runs into the bedroom. There's no sign of Catherine at all. She goes, but it wasn't me. It was Catherine. As they grab her hands to put the handcuffs on, Kathy looks down and her hands are covered in blood. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I made that one up myself. Actually, I was thinking about it a few days ago and I just got an idea and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I will be doing more very, very soon. In fact, I might try and do one every Friday. I think that's what I might do, because I know everybody loves it. Ashley loves them, I know for a fact, and there's a lot of people like them, so I will start doing them, I think, every Friday now. What I'll also do is leave this lovely atmosphere for you for a little while. If you'd like it to be left on longer, guys, please let me know in the comments. So I'm now going to go leave you with this, but in the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful